Didn't happen at you. It happened after a year plus of commitment, of consistently showing up. It's easy to share those stories. It's easy to share those struggles because that you love. It's not easy to share those with the world. You got to share what you actually believe in. Don't share something. If you share something that you don't believe in, you can very well be losing the followers that you want to keep. And allow people to judge. Be indifferent about the outcome because you believe what you believe. Be open to criticism. If you are wrong, you are wrong. But if you don't want to change, and you believe those things, and you still believe those things, despite the criticism, be bold enough to share. Be bold enough to stay consistent. Hold yourself accountable to what you committed to. Make the commitment to put it out there and see what happens. So what was the key takeaway from this weekend in Tulum for you?
Honestly, I wasn't planning on coming out to the Tulum retreat. I had just other plans in mind. I was going to take my NMLS test to be a living originator Thursday morning. I get a call from Rich Wednesday. You got to come. You got to come. And I'm like, all right. I got it. And I didn't think anything much of it after going through this whole weekend. It was a really big room to connect. You definitely got to see everyone I went to community for the first time in person. You got to be able to put a name with a face and getting to know everyone's backstory, where they started, where they came from, what they're doing now was very valuable. And coming out of this weekend, I think is really the connection and networking aspect of really coming together as one community. That's what I took with too. Top of the content game, how are the greats doing it? And taking a little piece of advice away. Glad.
I think the biggest thing for me that I gathered from this weekend outside of the relationships, I think relationship is ultimately what we went for. We didn't realize that's what we're going for. We thought we were going for the guest speakers, proximity, getting in better rooms, bigger rooms, putting yourself in those positions to be uncomfortable, to like a small fish in a big pond. What comes from that for me, what came from that for me is open my mind. What is possible? What is required to get there?
Yeah.
These guys are relentless. They have faith that supersedes most, and that's why they've gotten to where they are. It took them more than 3 months to get there. People can say yes to something, stick with it for 3 months. Most can do that. Most can't go a year without seeing any kind of traction. And every single person on the stick said the same story. It didn't happen at you. It happened after a year plus of commitment, of consistently showing up and being the same, like continuing to every single day and putting yourself out there, and sharing your story. Being okay with you slipping and falling, because it's through that we grow, and through you sharing where you slipped, where you failed, others can learn from you. People find value in that. You just got to be vulnerable and open enough to share that with the world, put your ego aside, to actually create that rapport, or to build that trust outside of, like, it's easy to share those stories. It's easy to share those struggles with those that you love. It's not easy to share those with the world. You want the world to see what everyone else's real show, or what everyone else's rich show. The highlights. You want to show your highlights. You don't want to show your fails, but it's through the fails that you're able to relate. Right. And these people are just open up for the world, and they're judging ultimately gaining eyes by showing really what's going on in their life. They're that. It was inspiring for me to truly see what that is, and see people live that out. Ryan, what's his last name?
McGinn? McGinn? I think it's McGinn. Yeah. Dude, right.
He created content for you on the spot. He said, "Oh, you want to create a reel right now? What do you want it to be about?" Okay, created the script for you. He said, "Shoot it." Yeah, and you shot it. Do you have the balls to do it? For someone else, they weren't willing to do that. He's like, "Oh, you don't want to do it? Fine, let me show you. I'm gonna do this for you." And it was a mother, he was like, it was a script for her mom, and it referenced mom groups. So he was just like, I'll run this. And he did it on the spot, shot it. He's like, I'd post this, I'd get thousands of views. 1,000 more views than I would have had if I didn't post it. And for that reason alone, it is worth sharing. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. It doesn't have to go viral. Something may go viral, might pop off because it resonates with somebody, but remove your expectations and allow the world, the universe, God, to do with your message what you meant.
Oh,
It's a message to be shared, it will be shared.
I agree. Yeah, I like a lot of people like are just afraid and fear of being judged. You know, they fear of like, what are people gonna think of me if I post this thing out? But Ryan made a good point too. Like, he's like, you know what? You don't read the comments. You don't do that. Or even like what Mikey said. Like, don't give a shit what people say. You post it, whatever resonates with you,
Forget about it.
and just forget it. Yeah,
How
exactly.
many people talked about posting it, turning off their phone,
Yeah,
putting it aside and going back to it a couple of days later
right.
or the next day, and not caring if it's if it does great, if it doesn't, no worries. It was a rest.
I
It was
want
a
to. I
piece.
want to get this off my chest. I'm
I
gonna say it. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna get backlash. I did get back, but then what came out of it were people that unfollowed me, but then people that loved the content that followed him back.
yeah.
Which is like you gotta have to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward in a way.
You gotta walk that line with your content. You gotta share what you actually believe in. Don't share something. If you share something that you don't believe in, you can very well be losing the followers that you want to keep.
Yeah,
If you believe in what you say, what you share, those that stay are those that align. And that's what you're looking to grow is an audience of people that actually align with what you have to share. That audience will ultimately share your content more often than if you just post everything. Have your key values, like be certain, a couple opinions, share those opinions, and allow people to judge. Be indifferent about the outcome because you believe what you believe. Be open to criticism. Don't be like ignorant. If you are wrong, you are wrong. But if you don't want to change, and you believe those things, and you still believe those things, despite the criticism, be bold enough to share. Be bold enough to stay consistent. Hold yourself accountable to what you committed to. Make the commitment to make posts consistently, daily. If not twice a day, put it out there and see what happens. And do it consistently enough for long enough for you actually to see the fruits of what you have done, whatever you did.
you feel like before this weekend there was like some part of you that was holding back on like maybe posting something kind of like that.
Oh yeah, I got like 3 videos that I shot that I haven't posted yet that I just
Yeah,
Ryan was like, dude, the things that actually go viral are the things that you don't want to share. The things that you're most fearful of sharing are the things that will gain the most attention people want to see. Remove yourself, take yourself out your ego, get out of your own way, and actually post the content that you shot and put your fear aside, put your ego aside. Just be okay with being, it's in the vulnerability that you will see scale. It's in the vulnerability where you will find growth.
It-
About for you, did you find yourself like thinking about, for me, like we were talking about fear of judgment, right? That's like the
yeah,
commonality amongst all creators that they've overcome consistently enough to post things that they don't want to post. Like most people don't post things that they don't want to post. It's those that post those things that actually go somewhere. Is there anything that you felt you've been holding back on that you want to start sharing after this weekend?
you know, I in the back of my mind something had been telling me to post more. And I feel like I found my stride in posting consistently. But now that I've done the same, like posting one post a day, I felt this plateau of okay, I feel like I'm just posting to post something at this versus actually giving value or like finding an overall purpose for my posts and having more attention in it. But after this weekend, it made me realize, if you got to be a content creator or a business manager. You run a business. Who do you want to be?
What do you mean by that?
I think I believe it was either Mikey Taylor or Ryan that said content creator is your first job, and then your business is your second job. And he said if you're doing 50-50 right now, that's not going to work. You're not focusing on one job.
Absolutely.
The project being a content creator needs to be your first job, which is kind of interesting to me. It kind of hit me. I was like,
That doesn't mean you let go of your business.
you don't
It means that
neglect the business. Obviously, you need to support the business, but how do you support it while being a content creator first?
delegation. Find ways to delegate the things that you either don't want to do or the things that take too much time from what actually brings value to your business, that brings leads to your business, which is the content.
Oh,
Like what is taking up, what's filling your calendar that isn't reflective of your highest ROI? If you are creating content consistently and that content is converting to leads, whether it's today or will be more frequent in business online. Don't think about today. Think about in 3 years,
yeah.
3 years timelines.
It's like, are you just in it to have fun, or are you going all in, bro, and doing it with intention? And that's what I kind of took away from being the content creator side. You got to go 75, 20.
75%. It takes time to get there, but that's where you should
Yeah.
want to be. What about Brian Lubin's communicate like his field? You have any massive takeaways from that? Because I did. He talks about three S's, right? State, no, not three S's. It's state, mindset. What were the three? What? State, mindset. Can you pull it up? I took note.
And honestly, I feel like all over the place, like you right now.
State, story, strategy. What state are you? Brian Lubin talked about state, story, strategy.
Yeah.
Three S's. Your state determines everything. Your state as well as your report. Those two issues, if you put yourself in the right state of mind, if you figure out what stories you've been telling yourself for which don't align with the future that you want to have, what's holding you back. I'm not a content creator. People don't want to hear about me. Whatever story that's, I don't want to be judged. I should align with the masses. Whatever story you're telling yourself, which has been holding you back and keep you where you are, identify that, overcome that, and take action upon that in the right state. And the strategy to get to where you will, where you want to be, will come almost supernaturally. You just have to be the right mindset. You have to tell yourself the right things in order to find the strategy. Or to find the strategy, you have to be in the right frame of mind with the right. I find that super interesting because there's so many times as I was listening to my mind, it's different moments. I've become better at managing my state. I've become capable of identifying the stories that I tell myself. There's so many more stories that I have within me that I haven't identified yet. And I was thinking about those while he was speaking. I was like,
Yeah.
there's more stories to uncover. There's more things more work that I need to do internally. And there are times where my state has not been where it should. My mindset didn't allow me to perform in that moment because my mindset just not where it's supposed to be. And therefore, I was able to describe my clients, my system, my family, my loved ones. I wasn't able to give them the strategy that they needed to move on because I was used. Not only is it affecting my own state, my own strategy, my own business, it's also affecting like those that I speak into, those that I
Yeah.
and so I found that one to be super powerful. I was like, I need to do more work. And I feel like you get to a point at which you're like, oh, I've done the work. No. It's continuing.
Yeah.
It's every day. You're going to find more stories. You're going to fall back into the old story that you tell yourself. You're going to find yourself in the wrong mindset consistently. It's very often that you'll wake up just not in the right mindset because
Right.
a lot gets sleep for because unable to do this because you got an argument with somebody that you love. That state, that situation that comes up naturally in life. Those things happen. Those moments, and they can affect your state. If your state is not in check, if you don't reflect quick enough, if you don't journal about it, if you don't meditate on it, if you don't pray upon it, you'll find yourself in 2, 3, 4, 5 days, if not weeks, of a lull. Like you'll fall out of the rhythm and you won't be able to identify where it was. It's because you haven't prayed about it, you haven't journaled about it, you haven't meditated on it. Whatever it is to overcome those scenarios that life presents you.
Yeah. I like how you bring up faith because I feel like in that room, there was a lot of faith, a lot of believers. The guy upstairs, man. I myself, I love to pray at night, right before I go to bed, and sometimes right when I wake up. With the amount of faith that I felt in the room and the energy that there was, that you're surrounded by, it boosted your confidence in a way, and you could feel that every time someone spoke, it was coming from the heart. They really meant it. There weren't any toxic people. There was no fake people. Everyone was there to level up and make each other better. And whether it was giving their advice or it was more individualized, if you had a personal connection and conversation with them, it all stemmed back to the man upstairs. Hey, he helped me get through this rough time in my life and why I'm the best version of myself now today.
I would argue that's why Mikey Taylor's speech, his keynote, resonated with me because he was so aligned in his faith, because he was so certain, because he's so connected.
Yeah.
He wasn't holding back. He was being himself, and he was okay with himself
Yeah, in front of his wife.
in front of his
And
wife. All those successful people, whether they were aligned with God or Jesus, or not, they could see Jesus reflecting his light upon them.
yeah,
And allow people to be more vulnerable, to be towards. And those are the type of rooms, those are the type of people you gravitate towards, you don't know why. It's so interesting.
yeah,
Mikey had a different presence than any other speaker out there because he is so open to sharing his faith. He brought it up on his own, and then people brought questions to the table in front of 100 other people that struck a chord.
totally.
It inspired me, I will say, because that's something I've been praying about, something I feel convicted by. Whenever God wants you to share your faith, it's for a reason. It's not up to us to go out there and bring more people to bring our faith to this surrendering. It's up to God to do that through us, but He can't do anything through us if we don't allow Him to.
Amen. Would you say faith is the most important thing that shoot, okay, let me reword this. Is faith the single most important thing that has helped you in life to get you to where you're at as a person and in your business?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be here without God.
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many moments in my life where things could have gone completely worse. I should have died many times in my life.
Yeah.
God's been there. He's taking care. He showed up, and many times I ignored this moment. Many times when He's speaking to me and He's showing me something, I've ignored it, but I've taken note of it. But once I actually surrendered myself to Christ, which was recent, it was 3 years ago, I'm gonna get baptized last year. And that's another story, But there were so many moments in my life where I felt His presence. And then I finally walked back into the church. Whenever I finally walked back into the church, I walked in and I felt something. I heard a message, I heard a word from the pastor that day that was catered almost to me. I was looking around, I was like, I'm glad everyone else is here, but this is for me. Like you're speaking directly to my heart. And afterwards, I tried to leave, and I felt Him tug on my heart again. Somebody called me, stop me before I left the worship and the sanctuary, turning around because there's the fifth sign that He wanted me there for a reason. Turned around, I talked to somebody, and as soon as I started talking to him, grown man. I'm a grown man, and I broke, but for no reason. I had nothing horrific going on in my life. Nobody had died in my life, but I was called to speak to this guy. And as soon as we started talking, he asked, why are you here? And I knew in that moment that was it. I was there for a reason. God has been trying to get back into his home, to his house. And whenever I finally did, I surrendered myself. There was this release of, you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders sometimes as an entrepreneur. I think that's why so many entrepreneurs are faith-based and you believe in Christ, because if you live this life long enough, you will find yourself in a position where you got to make a decision. Are you going to rely on yourself? If you try to rely on yourself for too long, God will put you in a position, unfortunately, where you feel like you hit rock bottom. But He'll allow you to get there so you can figure out who the rock is, who He is. Is at that moment that your life will change. Is at that moment my life changed. I felt like I hit rock bottom. I identified who the rock was, surrendered my life to Him, and from that moment on, He bared my weight. He carries my weight every single week, every single day.
Yeah.
It's not up to me, it's up to Him. My life isn't perfect. I still go through struggles. Because I have accepted Him into my life, I know it's because I'm there because He wants me there. He's trying to teach me. I'm there for persevere. I'm able to continue. I always know that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. We're having this conversation in the Amex Lounge. Yeah. He wants us to have a conversation in Amex.
Yeah.
We connected for a reason. Why? Perhaps we found out, perhaps we haven't yet. There's one thing that comes out of this. Maybe it's this conversation. Maybe this conversation goes out there and it resonates with somebody. And if it brings one person one step closer to Jesus, this conversation is worth it. This vulnerability, yes, having a conversation here in public, the MX, kind of an inconvenient time. You and I are not firing on tinsel at all cylinders at all.
But
however, we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
And being open and vulnerable enough to put ourselves out there and share our faith is doing what God is wanting us to do.
Right.
And so to go back to your question, my life is here because Christ. I hear, he's real as can. Rich wanted me there. Rich got me that one today.
Oh, yeah.
However, I wouldn't have been put in that position if it wasn't for him leading me up where I was, where I am today.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. It's a sign that Rich wanted us all be there. It's just the Lord at work again. He had this strong feeling and need for all of us to be there. So he went ahead and made it happen.
Have you ever read the Celestine Prophecy?
I haven't.
It's super interesting.
What is that?
I just read it for the second time. The first time it resonated with me. The second time was just recently, and just finished it again. Actually, on the flight over to Tulum.
Oh, nice.
And there's this story within it. So the Celestine Prophecy is about this individual that feels quality about weird synchronicities led in a bunch of weird synchronicities leads him on this journey where he's covering these things that the Mayans have uncovered in life. Like there's 9 or 10 prophecies. They're all like to help individuals understand what God's and what our job is in society to get closer. There's this story in there. I don't know what prophecy it was, but basically it talks about paying attention to the synchronicities of life and then paying attention to the dreams that you have. And he has this dream, basically, I'll keep it short, that he's walking through a jungle. And he's searching for a key. He doesn't know why he's searching for a key. He's searching for a key in the jungle by himself. And then it starts raining, like a torrential rain down.
Yeah.
And then it turns into like this splash flood. And then he's in this river, right? He's fighting this river. He's fighting this water. Well, he's looking for this key. He's in the middle of nowhere. He's cold. He's fighting this water, swimming against this stream to get to the rocks, to get out of the water. He thinks the water's going to lead him to us. He climbs up this rock wall, so to say, and he gets to a vantage point where he feels like he's safe. He turns around and he sees that the river that he was just in is leading to this calm, lake, this still lake.
Wow.
Out in the distance, and above the lake is the key that he's been looking. And then he wakes up.
Wow.
And it's somebody that understands the insight, whatever insight that is like, well, what do you think that means? He's like, well, I don't know. He's like, well, do you feel like you've been fighting the waters of your life? You feel like you've been going against the current? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm here in jail. He's in jail in this moment. He's like, why am I in this situation? He's like, I feel like I'm fighting the situation. Why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, what does that mean? Like, well, if you were to go back into that dream today, like right now, what would you do? Knowing what you know now, he's like, well, I would allow the waters, the rain, the river, which I thought was going to lead me to my death. I would have allowed it to take me to the lake. The lake is where I was trying to go. He's like, so do you think that has some form of correlation with what's going on in your life? Do you think these hardships that come in, this river that you're stuck in, if you were to theoretically be in a river, and would you allow it to would you flow with the water versus fighting the water, knowing that it would lead you? And it stuck with me because there's so many hardships down the line. There's things that I was currently swimming against, fighting. How upset at the world is like, that's supposed to happen, Like if you lose that business for whatever reason, you were supposed to. If you lose that relationship, you were supposed to. Or if you lose that client, don't fight it, accept it. Do your best to perform, to provide, to serve. But if it falls from your hands, perhaps it's supposed to.
Yeah.
There's another reason. You might not ever figure that out. In hindsight, you'll see why that happened. Yeah, anyways, it's a great book. It's worth a read if you haven't read it.
Yeah.
Celestine Prophecy.
No, I even took something away from that story, you just sharing that. It's like, and it just shows that going back to like why I started the podcast, like a lot of people or like Gen Z and millennials, they stop too short of the finish line and they don't keep committing to what they said they're gonna do, and they don't start at all. And so like, I don't want to be the only guy in my generation that is able to take a stand and work for something that I truly believe in. Like, I want to be able to motivate and inspire other people. Like, hey, look, I'm not perfect, but I'm in this with you. If you really want to strive for what you want to do, go and do it. Like, I'm interviewing these different people like myself. Hey, tell me how you got here. Where did you start? Because everyone started somewhere. And what was that journey like to get to where you're at today? And then like what you said too, like going back to social media, everyone posts about their wins or spectacular things that happen in their life, but no one shares the failures of actually getting that Lamborghini or that $20 million house or $50 million portfolio in real estate. Like, there's you got to start from somewhere to get there. So
Yeah, it's so cool we can.
yeah,
I'm glad we had the chance to meet. We put ourselves in that position of being seeing what comes from it. Again, zero expectations. I walked into that room this weekend like zero expectations, just
totally, yeah,
open to
same
looking
here.
at
Yeah,
and to be connected with you, Owen, to be connected with Austin, to be connected with Mikey, had those conversations to hear how people are youth
yeah.
inspired.
It almost felt surreal in a way.
Yeah.
I'm like, because we've only seen them on social media. I've never physically met them at all in person. So actually being there in person, seeing them talk live, had a very different connotation to it.
They're all people. Nothing special about it.
And they're just regular people like us, like me and you.
That have done something specific for long enough, well enough, and excelled at it. You're sharing it, just doing it for others.
Mm-hmm.
That's something for them. And fair enough. Now they're living a life that they probably couldn't have dreamed of 10, 15 years. And you don't that like good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Appreciate you doing this. That was great.
Yeah, anytime. That was fucking clean.
Happy to send story. Until next time.
Peace.